Welcome to the ripple effect of love for dads and families as we learn to play. Again, for some of us, it's so important that we get the lessons from playing. Why is that so important? Why would I introduce playing with your children? Well, I was just reading a few days ago, Dr. Sally, and this is something I know. It's about living the experience. Try and remember back the good moments you had with your parents. What did that look like? What did that feel like? What did that sound like? Right? And what did that taste like? Maybe it was going out for ice cream once a month. Maybe it was going out for ice cream every day at the end of the day on a hot day. What was it that was bringing you joy? And sometimes to be able to get to this place of joy, we need to release some of the hurts. So, I'm Christine Bernat, stress management coach, certified EFT, emotional freedom techniques, master practitioner, and more. I want to share today with you because I was on a podcast yesterday with Tony Lynch, and he'll be on the show on our live on March 18th. So mark your calendars, where we will be focusing more on grief because grief hits us in waves and we need to take care of these waves. So today, what is it that's preventing you from enjoying play with your children? Let's take a quick peek at what that might be. Take a deep breath in. And do you feel at times that you wish you had said no to some people and you said yes? Because that can be very heavy on us. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that's what I'm going through. I welcome Christian.
Hello,
How are you
hello.
today?
Good, good. Very, very good. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Oh,
Yeah, we can't see you yet, but oh, here you go. Okay,
yeah.
just in the bottom corner of the screen. So
All over the place here.
all over the place. While you set up, I will just have everybody,
Continue. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, continue.
breathe into your heart, into your body, and think of one time when you wish you had said no, but in fact you said yes. Okay, just take one. I want you to breathe into that. Notice where you feel it. Snap or clap. Tap on the meridian point. Relax those shoulders. And exhale that out onto the spiraling tree.
you
And
know,
yeah, go ahead.
self-regulation. So let me pop in
Yep.
as we're self-regulating and going through this because as Christine is sharing that this is where she's going through, and just because you learn to self-regulate and you practice self-regulate, it's just as we've spoken like another language, it doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes. I think we all make mistakes in wording and spelling and verbiage and
Mhm.
communication in our own language, let
Yep.
alone
Let alone the snap, tap, zap language, right?
or another or a new way of solution in the snap tap zap, which again we want to make sure when I say just ABCs is just the breathing, just to connect the dots there. The snap tap zap is exactly that, and then the meridian points, but it really just goes back down to self-regulation.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we want to share when we all make mistakes. I make mistakes all day long. I'm
Mhm.
okay with making mistakes all day long, and I'm okay with being accountable and being held accountable for mistakes that I make. throughout the day. And
And Christian, that's a beautiful journey. We don't get there overnight.
no,
We need to allow lots of self-love, self-compassion, tuning into our inner wisdom and allowing that space to when you're down in a low to just try and remember, do your best to remember to snap, tap, zap, allow those emotions to bubble up because they need to come out. That's why they're coming to the forefront because they need to come up, whether it's
that's it.
anger, whether it's sadness and you're crying, whether it's overwhelm. Overwhelm can cause us to cry too, whether it's
Hmm.
guilt, whether
Hmm.
it's, doesn't matter what the emotion is.
Don't judge it either. Just wanted
Yes,
to throw that in there because
yes.
even if you're feeling some sort of way and you're going like, wait, I feel really bad, but why am I laughing? Why am I giggling?
Mm.
Um, and it's okay. So don't
Yeah, if
then
I
itself.
may, I love how
Yeah,
you said that, Christian, because the laughing, the giggling is a survival mode to cover it up.
thank you. And I wanted
And
to
it's
share that.
okay to use it
Yes, that's it right there.
until we don't need
Yes,
it anymore.
that's
But
it.
I can tell you, I was on a podcast yesterday and I could see my laughing coming up, right? To, oh yeah, yeah. And really it wasn't a funny situation, but it was my survival mode, my fear of saying what I
Ooh.
was sharing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it's
Uh-huh.
okay. And I accept, I acknowledge. I prefer the word acknowledge.
Okay.
I
Okay.
acknowledge that I am perfectly imperfect, and where I'm at is exactly where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And giving myself some self love for being here right now at this moment to support the ripple effect of love is what is most important for me in my life right now because I am so passionate about helping, dads and their families and the kiddos be and create love in their families because we are living in so much chaos around us. And if you are highly sensitive or have children that are highly sensitive, you will see and you must have seen, you might have noticed that in the last few months they are more triggered than usual, they are more explosive than usual, and you're like, what, I didn't say anything, didn't do. I'm not saying you did, I'm saying,
We're not saying you didn't either.
yeah. However, okay, I don't think I've shared this on this show. When I just started discovering that I was highly sensitive, so I had started tuning back because I spent my life disconnected from my emotions, my feelings, so that I
Hmm.
could survive. So
Hmm.
when I started tuning back into who I was able to notice that I'd be walking down the street and I get to a section of the street and I'd be so angry. And I'd be swearing in my head at the asphalt that had all these holes. And I was like, but I was fine, 2 minutes ago. Why am I in such a state right now?
Pause. Yesterday, you guys remember we were talking about what she was taught, how she was shown love, how she was shown discipline, how she was shown how to react, how she was structured on from very little till a certain age. That's the only way she knew how to cope or react or act when anything, because as again, go to the pros here, but she told you, okay? And so she may not have felt mad or angry, but her body building up. And so therefore, they're cursing. And it was repeated. And she said it right now. She wasn't even mad. She's going, why am I thinking and cussing in my head? Naturally repeating what is known to us, even if it is now looking back at it, you're going like, how could I have said that? How could I have done that? That's why. Continue.
And when you're highly sensitive, so that is everything you said is true. And when we are highly sensitive, SpongeBob, right? It's a sponge. I like the sponge. I don't like the SpongeBob, but it's okay. I don't know if it was the best example, but think of a sponge. Okay. If there's humidity in the air, will the sponge stay super dry? It'll get damp. If you drop it in the sink full of water, it will be soaking wet. Like that, right? So, what happens to us as highly sensitive people is that the energy that's floating in the air, the anger, because at that end of the street is in a terrible shape. There's holes everywhere. It's so easy to twist your ankle because we've got potholes that are 2 inches, deep, and you've got to be looking where you're going. And everybody goes through there, has those emotions. So those emotions linger on in there. And that's what I was picking up. It wasn't who I was, it was what was in the air.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
another example, I can be driving and I'm like,
Well,
woo,
but before you get to your
yeah,
example, I
yeah,
wanted to mention a couple of things that you guys may see as signs in these different things. The only way, and thank you for that. It definitely doesn't happen overnight.
no,
So just to end it and then connect the dots is I want to make sure that the point that I was saying is as we self-regulate, you will be able to be more in tune and listen
yes,
because you're
yes,
bringing that calmness to yourself for yourself and by yourself. Obviously, professionals that can help you out, scan the QR code, make sure you get a session, at least to introduce yourself and see what can be if it's a right fit. But I wanted to pause there because the ABC, the snap, tap, zap, and the self regulation
mhm,
allows you to now. She didn't think of, I can run through this street that has all of these potholes because of the ankles. But if she were to have practiced enough, she may have even gone and jumped over the potholes and made it a challenge on how many potholes she can jump over and different
right,
things. Pause. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm
mhm,
just saying what we practice is what we get good at. And if we
mhm,
practice disconnecting, we really get good at that.
at disconnecting. Yeah. So for many, many years, I could not feel anything. I could not feel that energy. That is part of my gifts. And I can be driving in a great mood, and all of a sudden I'm angry or I'm impatient or I'm whatever emotion is lingering in the air. And I know this is really, really challenging to understand for people who don't, for the other, what's 100 minus 15? Go for
75.
it.
I'm sorry, 85.
Yeah.
15, 85.
So there's 85% of the population who can't do this, but there's 15% of the population who have this. So that's 15 and 100. That's 1.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all I'm going to
So
say
that
is,
you
and
know.
I want to say is the reflection of what she can see or feel that
Mhm.
folks like high performers, those go-getters, those accolades, uh, I'm not telling you, but those might be band-aids over the actual.
Might be. Yeah. And the thing is, if you can calm down that whole nervous system, that survival
Hmm.
mode, enough to
Hmm.
start feeling a little bit. Some might say, "Oh no, I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel." I mean, oh my gosh, look at you, Christine. Look what you're going through. However, if you join the private group, this is where I will teach more in depth how to protect yourself from this so that when you go on a bike, a little guy, the little ones have training wheels, and then they don't need the training wheels. So
And
there
some big
are
guys need training wheels, and some
yes,
big people still don't know how to ride a bike, and that's okay
okay,
too.
and it's okay. Um, some kids will get on a bike and, 2
Yep.
days with the
Hmm.
training
Hmm.
wheels and they're off. They
Hmm.
have this amazing sense of balance. I do not know many kids. I know more those that go till 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old to learn how to keep the balance and learn how to bicycle, and it's okay.
Hmm.
The point I'm trying to bring here, which I can't remember where it was, the training wheels. Oh, you're learning how to self regulate your emotions. So you're dumping them out onto the spiraling train. So if you're picking up anger, that's one way. But there are other ways. And in the private group, that those are some of the tips that I will share with those of you who need that because it's so important. I have like, oh, before I go out, okay, have you done this, 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 Christine? Yeah, okay, go. If I forget, I don't get very far. I can I start feeling all crooked and I'm like, oh, I forgot my steps. So that energy does not enter my body, my physical
Yeah.
body.
And,
That's
and I think this is a big, I think this is a big
big.
pause moment because I want to remind you guys, feeling emotions and feeling emotional, and these are natural things, and that's why they bubble up. And you're saying, well, I maybe don't want to feel them. Well, unfortunately, and very bad news is that your body does feel them, and your body will intake, and the body will start with the pains or the discomforts,
Yep.
or the shortness of temper, or the unwillingness to listen, or the inability to be able to communicate clearly.
Yeah.
So if we're self-regulating, and I'm getting better in regards to the points. So I'm gonna say this is super super easy for us to share with you because it is really super easy to do, but it just takes a constant, a supportive, and encouraging
Yeah.
space where
Yeah.
we invite you to, but we also share with to connect with Christine or other folks that can guide you and support. And that's where Christine is also building out some of the folks that within her network and other professionals that can help you with different topics, with different age groups or different situations
Yeah.
where you may feel more comfortable. But I want to go back to, or however, I want to
Mhm.
go back to um, the point that we were making is that your body is going to feel it and it wants to release. And if you can
Yeah.
do it within, again, a structured, so it's just like picking up a crayons, a box of crayons, and you're going, okay, I, I got the red one in my hand, and well, I don't feel like coloring with red, and so I can place it down now. Say the red's not for me right now. I now choose what color, and yellow and whatever. But the whole point is, yes, we've gotten steps to it, and I want to finish with this. Culturally, I just heard this conversation between two professionals. So
Mhm.
Christine and I.
Yeah.
But one was they met for coffee, and after the coffee, at the end of the coffee visit, friends for many many years, many years, professionals for many many years, and they
Mhm.
met for coffee. And after at the end of that, there was a bad vibe, this weird disconnect, and
Yeah.
almost like disrespect, or just something that's just
Yeah.
there. So the younger one says to the older one, and he says, "Hey, I feel like I gotta ask you, did I do something wrong? Did I maybe say something?"
Yeah.
And the older gentleman says, "Well, listen, it's not something that you said. It's something that you did.
Mm.
See, I'm Swedish, and in Sweden, eye contact is very important. Culturally, it's
Mm.
respect when you see somebody, look at them in the eye."
Yeah.
And he chuckles, and again, that nervous laughter, that's what brought this on. With
Yeah.
nervous laughter, he says, "Oh no, I'm not laughing to dismiss it, but see how, if we were not listening, or if the older man was not in a listening to understand, you
Yeah.
laughing at me, what are you laughing at me, it could boom right away. But
Yeah.
instead he chose to listen to understand."
Mm.
Both of them did, which is the big part of
Yeah.
self-regulation. And he chuckles and says, as he's chuckling, which I do all the time, used to. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not laughing as in dismissal. I find it hilarious in the viewpoint and perspective because in my country of Korea, if we look at elders in their eye, it's a sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
one person sees as, hey, you respect me
Yeah.
by looking at me in the eyes, the other person culturally
Yeah.
was taught you don't look at your elders in the eyes,
Mm.
direct eye contact, because it is disrespectful. And of course, you don't want to be disrespectful to somebody else. And
No.
so their own old thoughts, not even their own. These are cultural norms that
Yeah.
they just carry on.
Yes.
And as we self-regulate, we
Mhm.
really pick up where we're jogging, where we're walking through. What doesn't matter
Mhm.
what the situation is.
Mhm.
I am finding more peace because
Mm.
I've set out, as she said, steps. I didn't even know about the steps that she takes, but wonderful. So now I know now I know
Yep.
what I've been
There's
doing in
many more
prepping, right?
steps to being Christine.
Yeah.
This is
And
just the
so
tiny tip of the
yeah.
iceberg, what I
Correct, correct.
hear.
And that's the beautiful part about it, you guys, that you guys can actually reach out and just share. You guys can drop messages, contact, lean in, be guest, just comment, really get connected because the truth of the matter and the fact of all of this is we're doing it for love. We're doing it for peace. We're doing it to help one another
Yeah.
because I see parents at pickup or in conferences or in different rooms where I'm sitting or I'm participating in, and I hear the anguish of I can't speak to my partner when I have said these things. They use it against me. I just can't be myself, and I just have no one to turn to, and I say, you are loved.
Mhm.
You are seen, you are cared for, you are important, you matter. And not for your accolades, not for you provide, not for, no, 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 no,
Just for being.
for who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with the mistakes and even with the triggers and even with the imperfection,
Yes.
she'll guide you through the spiritual and everything else, but I just want to remind you that you are here for a purpose and that you are the perfect expression of the divinity's love.
Mhm.
You are the perfect expression of the divine's love. He chose you to show the world love, and that's why you are created. And those are facts. And even if you don't believe in a higher a God or whatever you believe, know that you've been placed as a purposeful person.
Mhm.
You matter, and that you can always choose love. And it doesn't have to feel some sort, or it doesn't have to fit in somebody else's box. If you're feeling loved with against the cultural biases that you've been taught, or the men don't cry and men don't tear up and man up.
Yeah, yeah. Suck it up.
No, let it out.
Yeah.
I love the word love. I didn't use for a very, very long time. And I don't, people say, oh, I love that. Whoa, what? I, you, oh, I would love to hang. What? No, it would make me uncomfortable. And I'm just sharing this.
Yeah.
And
Before.
now,
That's
yeah,
before.
yeah, before.
Now. Yes.
And now, now I speak with strangers, and I do. And as a matter of fact, I was just on a comment with another entrepreneur. a pastor, I believe, as well, and some other positive stuff that he was saying and he was going through. And it prompted me to feel so comfortable and say, "Hey, I love you too. I love you,
Mm,
and thank you, thank you. I love you, and continue to be a blessing
mm,
and a positive in
yeah,
the world."
yeah,
And so that just,
yeah.
I just want to continue. That's where the ripple effect comes
Love
in.
is
Yeah.
happening. Woohoo! And this is what like makes me vibrate at a very high level. And we can
Mhm.
talk about the vibration scale that was
With Christine.
created
Uh huh.
by
Uh
David
huh.
Hawkins a while back, quite a while ago. But when you were talking about, God or a higher good or light or source, whatever, I started tapping because I think some people might be triggered by that. And so that's
That's
how, if I think somebody might be triggered, I'm just going to start. And while Christian is talking, whether it triggers me or I think it might trigger someone who's listening, because we all have our upbringings. I worked with a client who had tried out, and I'm going to put it that way, many different religions. And the conclusion was, unfortunately, because it depends who's leading that part. But if you're not allowed to be you, then it's not the right place for you. That'll be
mm,
my bottom line to it.
there you go.
If you're not
There you
allowed to
go.
be you, here in the province of Quebec, when I was studying long time ago, I had a sister, a nun, teaching. And she said, when I was young, Christine, we we weren't allowed in my town. Okay, this was the Catholic church. We were not allowed to dance. So we would go to the neighboring town so that we could dance on Friday night because she says, I loved dancing and I wanted to dance. So that's what I mean when you're not allowed to be you in that sense. A good thing, things have evolved since the 50s,
Or
but
so she says.
well, well, here anyway, I won't get into religion, but the point is
Mm-mm.
that it's about listening to your heart, and it's okay if even if in a congregation there's people who have different beliefs than you.
Correct.
What's
Correct.
important is that you're able to tune into your heart and to see what works for you, what makes you feel good, what brings you joy. And that's
The
the most
love
important. Yeah.
and that self love,
Yeah.
because from love, and again, that's what we say. So, what is love? And we're gonna step away from the religion, and it really does. By the way, I actually felt the tension, and you see how your body reacts,
Yes.
because I think that religion is such, and we didn't mean to, and definitely let me make sure that we are absolutely respectful of each and
Yes.
every one of you
Yes.
all.
Yes.
And this isn't to speak about religion. This, we want you to know that you deserve to be loved everywhere, in
And
every
feel love
space, and
and
feel loved
feel love,
and feel
you
loved.
know, and sometimes it'll be just an individual in that
Yeah,
area
yeah,
that's throwing things
yeah.
off. Doesn't mean that you can't be part of it. But I had the question, how does play strengthen understanding and deepen
Oh,
bonds?
oh, let me
So
tell you.
how does that
I'm gonna
happen?
finish that. We're
Okay,
gonna end it because
go for it. Yeah, we have to
Christine
go.
went into
Minutes.
overtime last time, and
Yeah.
we love that. But when you, it really, and see how I started, because I'm a playful kind of guy, but I still am, and I always have been.
Mhm.
But I had, because of the suppression of my feelings, I didn't allow the playfulness. Now it was, and I know folks say cheekiness, so it was kind of like a mischievous, because that's the only way that I was taught or was allowed to be a little bit funny, or I was accepted more, or I was loved more. I'm kind of giving the long answer because I want you guys to understand that because of self-regulation, I now make the choice to make laughter humorous and not about myself, about a situation, or to make humor or fun or joy out of things, playfulness, that doesn't demean. So when I speak, it's not to offend, and when I speak or respond, it's not to defend, because that
If
is
I do a
yeah.
quick pause, and if you explain that to your family members, and then you say, "If that ever happens, let me know."
I
That way
did, and I
you
do have that trigger.
yeah, and
We
because
have the
our time
hand
is
up.
yeah,
Yes.
put your hand up and say, "Hey, dad, like, this is not
Yep.
working. Hey,
Yep.
grandma,
Yep.
grandpa."
Yep.
So, the most important thing for children is to have experiences.
Hmm.
So you want them to have experiences of play. If you're a
Hmm.
super busy person and you only have 5 minutes when you walk in the door, what can you do that is playful and fun with your children in those 5 minutes? That's your challenge.
And if you don't
Find
drop your
ways.
phone and everything else, if you don't drop your phone and everything else and give them the undivided attention, they're going to seek the undivided attention
Yes.
disconnected, okay,
Yeah.
by doing something that will upset you so much, as you've done in the past, where you will drop everything and you will be 100% focused. And it's only because they want the 100% attention.
Yeah.
Not that they want it for the bad, they
No.
just simply want it for
And
that.
it's our responsibility to shift that so that they feel they get attention when they want to play too. I'm not saying you have to play with them all the time. I'm saying create those moments. If you have more time, excellent. Spend a day out in nature, have fun. But those moments that you remember from your childhood that had fun and play, what were they like? How can you create that? When your children get older, 8, 9, 10, and older, ask them, what would bring you joy? What kind of play? And something else than devices would be what I recommend. Maybe one out of the 10 things that you do can be a device activity, but try it so that you can reconnect through the experiences. So, on that note, just a quick reminder, if some of you are interested in the ripple effect of love for dads and families, a 12-month program, it is now time. This is for dads who want stronger relationships with their kids, confidence in setting boundaries with love, who want the ability to manage stress and emotions, and they want a deeper connection with their family. Okay. So maybe you're struggling with balance and work in your family. Maybe you're feeling unsure how to connect with your kids. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed by stress, anger, or guilt. Maybe you're just wishing you had a better way to lead your family. I'd love to have you book a call to see if you're a good fit for this group of dads. I thank you and I wish you um, an amazing evening, sending you lots of love.